Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, you're clearly audible.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I extend a very warm welcome to all the respected faculty members, students, and all the guests who have joined us today for the Power of Command Line workshop organized by IEEE-VIT. IEEE is the world's largest technical organization dedicated in advancing technology for the benefit of humanity with over 4 million members. IEEE creates an environment where members collaborate on world-changing technologies from computing and sustainable energy systems to aerospace, communications, robotics, healthcare, and many more. IEEE also includes a global network of IEEE members and volunteers dedicated to promoting women engineers and scientists and inspiring girls around the world to follow their academic interest in a career of engineering and science. IEEE was rated one of America's best mid-sized employers in Forbes 2018. IEEE has been certified as a great place to work. IEEE received the When Work Works Award in 2016. IEEE is a trusted voice for engineering, computing, and technology information around the globe. IEEE-VIT comes under the Bombay section. We are dedicated in conducting events matching the interests of the students from various domains. Adding to our accomplishment, IEEE-VIT captured the IEEE Regional Exemplary Student Branch Award in the year 2020. We have two of our most decorated events, our flagship events, which are Iris and Voyager. We also conduct many such great events, which include competitions, seminars, IEEE Day, and all of these are celebrated with great enthusiasm at IEEE-VIT. Now, it's time for Voyager 2022. Voyager is an expedition to the realm of cutting-edge technology, an amalgamation of competitions, tech talks, workshops, and enchanting fun events. Voyager aims to weave creativity, learning, knowledge, in a bid to unleash ideas that transcend the notions and limits. Voyager 2022 is all set with further events. We have Into the Jumbleverse as a fun event. We also have enthralling webinars such as computer vision, XR Genesis, cloud computing, metaverse, and competitive programming. Along with that, we also have one more workshop which is based on 3GS. And we also have exciting competitions lined up like Shark Tank and Codager. Now it's time for Power of Command Line workshop. Jai Keer and myself, Gaurang Kalyankar, are the instructors for this event. We will drive you through this exciting workshop. So let's begin. Over to you, Jai.
Okay, so can you confirm, Gaurang, that I'm audible? Or
Yes.
if the audience confirms it?
Yes, you're audible.
Those are lots of thumbs ups and claps flying right at the start. I'm totally enjoying the spirit of it right from the beginning. So I welcome you all again to this Power of the Command Line workshop. And I know Gaurang, that's a lot. That's more than enough. Those are lots of claps actually. But yeah, let's get to the point. So Gaurang gave you an intro, but I'll do my part as well. I'll briefly introduce myself. So my name is Jai Keer, and I'll be one of your instructors for this Power of CMD workshop. And essentially, we're going to be learning a whole lot of stuff, whole lot of exciting stuff, and we're going to be building stuff alongside. So just not going to be dry learning, okay? So my friend Gaurang, my colleague Gaurang will also be joining us. He'll be running you down some other concepts in batch or which is lined up later in this workshop. So we both are essentially your instructors for today. So with that being said, we're good to start, right? So let's get started. Let's get the PPT moving. I don't know if anyone of you all saw that we have a whole lot of 60 slides here. That's a lot of points to cover. So let's get started with slide 2 for the moment. And essentially, before we start the workshop, so it is important to know what lies within the workshop for us. Okay, so firstly, there's history. Okay, we're not talking about the textbook history which we had. We're talking about the history in the sense of why we should be learning the CMD, or the command line interface, because backstory is important. We don't want to be entering a battlefield not knowing who we are and why we are. So history, backstory, that's really important. So we'll be beginning off with that. We'll be following that up with the basic batch concepts. So we understand the basics, and then you can see there's the first challenge. So challenge in the sense it's going to be a project. We're not going to be telling you all to build it all from yourself. We'll be guiding you alongside, we'll be guiding you on your journey of making this project. So essentially you could think of it like the basic concepts and the challenge one go hand in hand. So these two things go hand in hand. The next thing is the intermediate batch concepts. So these are the slightly trickier, slightly advanced concepts that those would be slightly harder to get your head around them. But don't worry, we've got things covered. So you don't need to worry about anything that it's difficult or it's tricky. Okay, we got it covered. So this intermediate batch concepts, again, it's not going to be dry learning. So it's going to go alongside the challenge 2. This is going to be a flip a coin project. So these two things go hand in hand, the intermediate concepts along with the challenge 2. And then there's the whole purpose, there's the bread and butter of this workshop, that is the tic-tac-toe game. So this is going to be our final aim, after we learn all of these concepts. Oh, there you go. I can see there's 62 slides, so there's lots of learning if you haven't noticed by now. So yeah, so this is the bread and butter. So this is going to be the entirety of our whole workshop. We will be learning all these concepts and then we shall be good to build our final project. Now, before the final project, there's one thing, and pretty sure it's not visible. In between, there's one thing between the challenge 2 and there's the one thing between the final project, and that thing is a break. It's you guys might have seen that. Okay, there's 62 slides, and Jay and Gaurang are just going to bombard concepts on us. Not really. You're getting a break. You're getting a huge break of 600 seconds, which is 10 minutes, but I wanted to make it dramatic. So we're going to get a 10 minutes break here and use that 10 minutes break to relax. Don't go around thinking, okay, what's going to be the final project? We are going to understand the final project concepts. Okay, there's too much of laughter going on. You can see that. So yeah, there's okay, just laughed me out of that. So what I want to encourage is just use the break as a refreshment. Have your cup of tea, have your bottle of water. So after that, it will be all done. So after all of this, I'm pretty sure the flow of the workshop is pretty much clear to everyone. If anyone has any concerns at this point, just feel free to post them in the chat. So another thing that I want to tell you all, and it goes as an instruction. So unless mentioned explicitly, just feel free to code along, because it is kind of hectic to give you separate time to code. As you can see, 62 slides. Guys are getting used to it, so it will be slightly harder to give you separate time. So unless explicitly mentioned, just feel free to code along. And another thing is, don't feel shy. Okay, just use the chat box. There's me, there's Gaurang, who will be helping you if you run into some kind of issues. But there's the entire tech team as well. So they will be, there's the entire tech team working in the background who are constantly there to help you with your doubts. So that is all I wanted to say about the flow of the workshop and all those stuff. Now, one thing I will do, and that is, okay, yeah, that is I'll turn my camera off because data is expensive. Data is really expensive, so we need to save data. So yeah, can we reconfirm that my screen is visible and that nothing has happened?
Yes, Jay, your screen is visible.
Yeah. The thumbs up flying, they make it really, they are comforting enough. Yeah, so let's get started with the history. So if you are an OG, if you're someone who is really interested into computers right from beginning, right from your birth, you are interested into the computer tech, you might have heard about the DOS. Okay, and the DOS is just essentially the MS-DOS. So think of it as an operating system. Okay, just like you have Windows 10, you have Windows 11 now. Think of the DOS as an operating system that was like about what, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. And this used to be a thing with the Windows 9X series. Okay, so I don't want, okay, yeah, let me make it clear. I said something that is Windows 9X. I didn't say Windows 9. So I don't want any debate in the comment section. Okay, chat section. Oh, Jay, there's nothing like Windows 9. Windows 9 doesn't exist. Well, I said Windows 9X, okay, so it could be Windows 9.5, okay, any kind of the old system had the MS-DOS. And why am I talking about the DOS? So the DOS only had the command line interface. It did not have a graphical user interface. Now, what is the command line interface and what is the graphical user interface? What is the CLI? What is the GUI? Let's try to understand. Okay, I am on my new desktop and it's visible. So anything that you see, this things, this apps, this icons, anything that is clickable, this taskbar, this search bar, this date, calendar, weather, whatever you see, except for everything is connected, that doesn't come under that. So anything that is clickable, anything that redirects you to some stuff. So I click this and it opens up something, right? So this falls under the GUI. Okay, this is something that we call as the graphical user interface. Okay, anything that has graphics to do with it. Or anything that has, you know, clickable attributes or redirectable attributes, that is something that falls under the GUI. And what is the CLI? So the CLI is something that we will be learning in this workshop. So if you go onto your search bar, which in Windows 10 is right at the bottom, but I'm pretty sure if you're using some other OS, then it shouldn't be really hard to find your search bar. And if you search CMD, okay, so if you search CMD, you should get something like command prompt. Okay, but again, yeah, there could be a debate in the chat, so I don't want that. So as you could see, I searched CMD and showed me command prompt, but if you wish, you can type the whole thing. It just shows the same thing. So command prompt. Now you can double click it to open it. You could click here to open it. Okay, but by any chance, if by any chance you are on a public machine, okay, and then you would actually want to run it as an administrator. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you don't know what a public machine is, what stuff I'm talking about, then you're probably the only admin of your machine. In that case, just click open it. Okay, don't go with that run as administrator stuff. Okay. Now this thing, let me just zoom into it so that you can see it very clearly. So this thing that you see, this black screen with some random white text, is what is the CLI, okay? And in our case, it's very specifically the CMD. But okay, so I want to make this clear as well. So in this workshop, I might I might interchangeably use the terms of CLI and CMD. Essentially, those are two different things. But you know, just because we're using this CMD as our CLI, so I might use that. But it is to be noted that those two are completely different things. So in our case, this is what our CLI is, this black screen with some white text, okay? And our purpose at the end of this workshop is to prove that this black screen with some white text is much more powerful than this colorful screen with some colorful icons, okay? This may sound as counterintuitive as it may, but trust me, this is true, this is absolutely true. And that is why we actually are having this workshop in the first place, because this is true. Okay, trust me on this. And you guys might think, okay, Jay, you're absolutely lying. Okay, this is whatever. But trust me, by the end of this workshop, you will have that consolidated into yourself. Okay, let's move on. And this is what the UI of the DOS was. So the UI that existed in the CLI for the MS-DOS, and it used to look something like this. So it had the Microsoft R, Windows, blah, blah, blah. So this here is what you could see. It has Windows 9.5. Okay, so this is what I meant by Windows 9X. Okay, so any of those versions. It was really back in the day. Okay, so this is what it used to look like. You can just refer a few of those images to get a clear visualization of what it was. And this is what the CMD looks like today. And by today, I mean as in 2015, okay? But let's just look at it for a moment. So it says Microsoft Windows version, blah, blah, blah. It says Microsoft Corporation, all rights reserved, and then it just shows some random directories, which you don't need to worry about right now. So it shows, it's pretty clear that this image is of 2015, but let's actually go back to our desktop and let's see our CMD. And if you see this, well, there's not much that has changed, right? Except for the fact that they removed the year, right? It's 2022 right now. Okay, and it's actually 2022. Don't want any debate in the chat saying that how is it 2022? And life went slow after 2020, but okay, whatever. Let's not get into that kind of a debate right now. So this is what the CLI looks like, okay? And it hasn't changed much. And that's because it's more of a legacy technology. Okay, it's not changing, and I don't see it changing anytime soon either. So this is what the CMD is today. Now the $1 billion question. Let me just have a look. Okay, there are 83 people, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so there are 83 people in the meeting, and all of those people have one question in their mind: why use the command line? This is the $1 billion question. Everyone wants to ask this question, but are shy in some way. Jay, why should I use the command line? Tell me one reason why I should use this black screen over this colorful screen, right? What is the purpose, right? There are tons of reasons, okay? And again, that's why we have the workshop, because we have studied those reasons. So let's get started with why you should use the command line. And the first reason, the very first reason, is greater control, okay? And we're not talking about Uday Bhai's control here, okay? And by control, we're talking control in the sense of becoming a developer, okay? You guys even, yeah, that's lot of enthusiasm I can see. Okay, so greater control. So what do I mean by greater control? So greater control in the sense of becoming a developer. Now, what do I mean by that? So think of it like you want to become a developer. Okay, you have an ambition of your life that you want to become a developer, and that be in any form. Okay, then you need to have complete control over your machine. So you need to create a file that should be happening in like a second or two. Okay, you don't need to go around doing 10 billion tasks to create one file. Okay, this is what this is what my reference is when I say greater control. Okay, so the command line essentially provides you that control. Okay, so it's really important to know that. Now let's move on to the next advantage, that is the greater speed. Okay, speed is the advantage. Now what do I mean by that? And I'm pretty sure some people here, I don't see people getting bored, but okay, theoretically this is getting a lot of theory, right? So let's there might be someone here who might say in the chat, right, proof dikhao. How is this greater speed? How you mean to say? So Jay, you mean to say that clicking buttons, clicking this icons, beautiful looking icons, is time consuming, and you mean to say that if I go around using this black screen with some white text, this is going to be greater speed? What a lie, Jay. What are you talking? I'm not talking lies. Okay, let's prove that. I said that I'll prove that. Proof dikhao. I'll show you the proof. Okay. Now all of a sudden, we are in the parallel universe, multiverse, whatever you want to call that, whatever movie fan you are. So we are in the parallel universe, and your instructor Jay has become your boss. Okay, I'm your boss now, and your boss Jay has given you one task. Okay, and your one task is to find your IP address. Okay, and trust me, I'm not giving this task to you because I'm your boss and that I have to be annoying or something like that. But you might want to know your IP address for numerous reasons. Okay, and a couple of those being that you might want to connect to an RDP client, okay, or you have your virtual machine that you want to connect to some kind of a service. So in that case, you might want to know your IP address, okay. So how do you go around? You don't have any knowledge of the CLI or the CMD. So how do you go around trying to find your IP address with the GUI, okay? So let's have a journey, okay? So you might do something really simple. You might go into your search bar, and I definitely know that network or the IP address has something to do with the network. So let's go with uh, yeah, Netflix. Totally relatable. Yeah, totally, absolutely. You want to go into network, okay? So you want to go into network status. So we go into network status. Absolutely, Netflix. Yeah, totally. And then we do definitely know that it has something to do with the network that I am connected to. So currently I'm connected to this 307 Wi-Fi. Proof dikhao. Look at this. I'm currently connected to 307 internet access. So let's go into the properties of the 307. And if you scroll down, okay, there we go. There is the IPv4 address. So this is our IP address, and you found it out. Your first task is completed. Although it's late, you have taken 9 billion years to find this IP address. Okay, it has been too long. It took you too long, and fortunately, you're fired. Okay, I'm your boss. Okay, I don't like 9 billion years, so I have fired you. But is there a way you could have done this faster? Okay, there is definitely a way, and that is using this. boring looking black screen with white text that we have been looking at. So how do we go around? So we went into the search bar, we went into network status, then we went into the properties of our Wi-Fi, and then we got to know our IP address. That was quite that was a marathon we ran. But if you're using the CLI, it's just as simple as typing one word. You can simply type ipconfig and you hit enter and something happened. So here's your command, here's your ipconfig. And if you scroll down, yeah, well, there we go. It says your IPv4 address, and it only took you 5 seconds. But again, there could be a debate in the chat. Proof dikhao. How is this the same? How you might be cheating, Jay. I want proof. Okay, you can see the proof. So let me just let's just okay. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. Compare both of those. 192.168.1.101. Okay, absolutely the same things. No cheating, no nothing. This took you 5 seconds. This took you 9 billion years. So this can save you your job if your boss is me. Okay, because you only took 5 seconds. You might even get a promotion for that. Okay, so this is what is something that I meant by greater speed that the command line provides you. Okay, this is what is the advantage. Let's move on to the next example or the next advantage, that is greater security. Okay, so if you're someone who's interested, okay, I can see a hand raised. Was that a hand raised? Okay, might be some kind of a mistake. Yeah, that's completely fine. Okay, so let's keep moving. So the next thing is greater security. So if you're someone who's interested in cybersecurity or reverse engineering any kind of hacking system, okay, so essentially you definitely know, or if you don't know, then you know now that the command line is going to be your only option. There's no saving you, there's no shortcut to that. So you need to know the command line. There's just so little that GUI can offer you, and there's just so much that the CLI can offer you. So you definitely need to know the CLI in order to improve your security standards. Okay, so that is that advantage. That was really quick. Let's go to the next advantage. That is, it uses lesser memory. Okay, now don't literally take this image. I don't want anyone in the chat saying that, okay, do you mean, so by the image, do you mean that our memory would be wiped out after every 15 minutes, right? No, don't take that image literally. Okay, so what do I mean by that? It just takes lesser memory as a whole. Now again, how is this true, Jay? Proof dikhao. Okay, let's see the proof. Yes, engineering is all about learning with proof. Okay, so let's do something really dangerous. I'm going to do something really dangerous. It's a stunt. Don't do that at home. I totally do not advise doing it at home. And that stunt is opening Google Chrome. Yeah, it's already taking 9 billion years. Okay, the stunt was successful. We have opened up Google Chrome, and we're just going to minimize it right now. So I'm pretty sure everyone knows what minimizing does. So minimizing doesn't close the program, but it keeps it running in the background. So we have just minimized Chrome. We are doing nothing on our Chrome. We just opened it and we just minimized it. Now let's open up our CMD. So go into our search bar, search CMD. Okay, let's do that. CMD, and then just open it up. And again, we're just going to minimize it. We're not doing any fancy stuff. We're just minimizing it. So it's running in the background. Again, proof dikhao. I'm doing nothing, no tricks. It's just minimized. Similarly, I'm doing nothing here as well. Okay. Now I'm going to use the shorthand for the task manager. That is Control-Shift-Escape. This opens up your task manager, Control-Shift-Escape. And you can see the apps running here in your task manager. And if you look at this, so this is the browser where my PPT and stuff is running. So we don't need to think about that. But this is Google Chrome that I just opened up. And there's literally nothing. I'm doing nothing inside here. Again, proof. So even without me doing nothing, it's still taking up 400 pieces of my memory. It's taking 400 MB, you know. I'm literally doing nothing. It's just fluctuating. So you would think it's taking more than 350 as an approximation. But look at this poor little command processor. It's barely taking 7 MB. Okay. And it's not even fluctuating. It's just very stable at 7 MB. Very peaceful personality. Okay. So this is what I meant by the command processor using very less memory. Okay, it uses 7 MB. Meanwhile, you can look at Chrome. You're doing nothing, but it's still taking a whole lot of memory. And this is what I meant by the command processor using lesser memory. Okay, so this is the advantage of the command processor in that it uses much lesser memory than any app, okay, standalone. So there's that advantage. Now the final advantage is it helps you become a better developer. Okay, so if you're someone uh, who's again thinking of becoming a developer in any form, then the CMD or the CLI of any form, be it Bash, be it ZSH, be it any form of CLI, is going to be your life savior. So what do I mean by that? Because the CLI is essentially involved in a lot of technologies. I'm pretty sure I took a couple of those named by now. I guess I took cybersecurity. Then there's CLI involved in cloud dev. There's the CLI involved in backend web dev. It's involved like pretty much in a whole lot of systems. Okay, in a whole lot of technologies. It's involved in database management and handling of those databases. So essentially, if you learn the CLI once, okay, so it's going to be very helpful for you to become a good tech. TECK, mind you, not TECH at all. So it is going to make you a good tech. So it's going to make you a versatile tech so that you don't need to keep learning those technologies again and again. Okay. So those are the advantages. Those are all the pros of why you should be learning the CLI. Okay. Now, as every coin has two sides, okay, the command line is no exception. There are going to be cons of using the command line. Again, I don't want anyone in the chat section saying that, okay, Jay, the Sholeka coin had only one of the similar sides, right? We can use the Sholeka coin, right? No, don't even try putting that, okay? We are talking about fair coin, okay, and any fair coin has two sides, so it's going to be one side is going to be the pros and the other side is going to be the cons, okay? So let's study the cons of the using the command line. And the first con is the steep learning curve. Okay, so anything that is so versatile, anything that has such wide use cases, learning it is not going to be an easy task. Okay, and that brings me to the next point, that eventually, as the workshop progresses, then you might feel that you are getting overwhelmed, or that you don't understand a couple of concepts. In that case, just feel free to use the chat to resolve your doubts, or just try to speak up, or just hang in there, just try a bit harder to understand what's going on. Okay, don't just give up because it's hard. Of course it's hard, but what comes easy isn't really enjoyable. So yeah, that's a good quote, I guess. Yeah, let's keep moving. So the next disadvantage is not really a disadvantage, I would say, but it comes to be an advice from my favorite Marvel superhero. Okay, and we're not talking about Iron Man. Okay, there could be wild guesses in the comments or the chats that, okay, who is Jay's favorite Marvel superhero? Okay, there's a hand raised. Okay, there's no hand raised right now. Okay, yeah. So there might be a speculation of who is Jay's favorite Marvel superhero. That is Uncle Ben. Okay, and Uncle Ben said it very wisely, that with great power comes great responsibility. Now, essentially, this isn't a con, but this is something that you need to keep in mind. Okay, and in that you're using a powerful tool, okay, and in that you will be tempted to misuse your power once you fully acquire it. Okay, and this goes without saying that just because you can do stuff doesn't necessarily mean you should do the stuff, okay, if it's unethical. This is what is the next disadvantage, in that you will be tempted to misuse your power, okay, eventually, if you feel the power flowing through you. Okay, and again, there might be a question here of how can I misuse my power. You have these kind of questions, but you might feel, okay, how can I ask this question in the chat, right? How can I ask Joy, tell me how can I misuse my power? Okay, but I'm not going to show you with that intention. Okay, do not take it wrongly. Don't be laughing like that. Okay, don't take my teaching wrongly. I'm going to show you one method of how this works, or how people actually misuse their power. Okay, so let me just show you that. So let's go onto a command processor, and it's running up. So let's open that up and let's see. So okay, again a disclaimer, by no means I do not mean to teach you to do that. Okay, This is just for educational purposes. Don't go around trying this on people, okay? So essentially, there might have been a moment in your life when you wanted to know someone's Wi-Fi password, right? Like they allowed you to use your Wi-Fi, they allowed you to use their Wi-Fi, but they are not telling you the password, right? They just entered it for you, and now you are like you're the spy, right? You want to know their Wi-Fi password badly. So this is the trick I'm going to show of how you can, okay? Again, I'm repeating this for the nth time. Please don't, please don't take it wrongly, and please don't go around doing this on people. You can do it on yourself. It's just for educational purposes, but do not try it on someone else. Don't go around saying that Jai taught us this in the workshop. Okay, so let's see how that happens. So the first command we are using is the netsh. So the entire command is the netsh wlan show profiles. Okay. And essentially what this command does, okay, I'm pretty sure I don't even need to tell you to take screenshots of this. You might have already taken 10 screenshots of this by now. Okay, so this command essentially shows you all the network profiles that your device has ever been connected to. Okay, so if I hit enter, there we go. These are all the Wi-Fi's that my device has ever been connected to. Okay, so let's actually see this. Let's actually see which of this Wi-Fi password I want to find. Okay, now let's say I want to find the password of this one, C7 Pro. Okay, and this was my own device whose hotspot I took one, so I'm showing it. Again, encouraging you to not do it. Okay, don't go around doing this. So let's try to find out the Wi-Fi password for the C7 Pro. Okay, so essentially what we need to do is we need to repeat the above command again. We need to say netsh wlan show profiles. Okay, that, how do we spell profiles? Okay, yeah, trust me, it's hard to speak and concentrate on the code at the same time. Yeah, so after we finish the command, we need to specify the name of the Wi-Fi network in quotation marks. So like I'm doing here, I have specified it in quotation marks, so C7 Pro in quotation marks, and then we simply use the magic word, that is key equals to clear. Okay, and if I hit enter now, and if we scroll down into the security settings, well, there we go, there's the key content, there's the, okay, that is a terrible password. Was I the one who was talking about cybersecurity 5 minutes ago? Yeah, keeps talking about cybersecurity, has a poor password himself. Yep, that's me. So this is the Wi-Fi password for C7 Pro. Okay, this is the Wi-Fi password. This is J123456. That is a really terrible password. But this is the password. Okay. And unfortunately enough, so don't go around in the chat box saying prove the cow, because even if I wish to, I can't show you this, okay, because I don't have this device actually. So this, you guys have to trust me that this is the password. And also now you know this trick, so you can try it on yourself, but only try it on yourself. I trust you people, okay? Don't go around doing this on someone else, you know, going around saying that, okay, Jai taught us this in the workshop. Okay, so this is how misusing of power works. Okay, this is how people can misuse their power, not necessarily that you should be doing it. Okay, but I just wanted to show one example for educational purposes on how things go around. Okay, and with that, we have successfully completed our first mission of this workshop, right? We have completed the history, and okay, there's some hands raised, feel free. Okay, yeah, there's a hand raised. Uh, is it possible for you to post your concerns in the chat? Because we have we actually have muted the muted permissions for the attendees. Yeah, it'd be great. Or else we could have a discussion in the break. So feel free to yeah, feel free to post your concerns, or you could either wait until we get into the break. Okay, so that is the history part done. Okay, we have completed the entire history part of our workshop, and that is our first task done. So that's all from my side for now. Gaurang, my colleague, will be taking you down the basic batch concepts from here on. Alongside that, you will be building your first project. Okay, so that is all from my side. Peace out, Gaurang. The stage is all yours. Thank you.
Jay, can you confirm whether my screen is visible?
Yeah, the screen is visible.
Okay. So, thank you, Jay, for explaining the spectacular history of CMD. And I'm pretty sure the references of memes given by you were a great one for the audience as well. And now myself, Gaurang, will take you through the basic batch concepts and also through a falling matrix project. Before starting, I would like to show you guys one thing. Let's hop on to the next slide for that purpose and have a look at it for some seconds. So I'm pretty sure every one of you have seen this kind of scene. Like we can call it as hacking wala screen, and we may have seen it in some movies also. So basically, after owning the basic commands, we all would be able to make our own hacking wala screen. So this is a glimpse of what we will be actually making. I know this video is actually not properly clear, but the thing which we will be making, it would be like visible clear. So yeah, as Bruce Lee says, advanced skills can be owned, but we have to master the basics first. With that said, let's start with our first command, which is echo command. Basically, if we want to print a specific string, we can use this command for that purpose. Apart from that, we can use it to turn on or off the echoing feature. I would let you know about the echoing feature in one of the later commands itself. For now, let's try this echo command. So I will just hit Windows key and type CMD and hit enter. So CMD screen is on. I will just zoom in a bit so you guys can see what I'm typing, and I will just type echo space any string, like I will type hi and hit enter. As you can see, hi message is printed. So basically we can say this command as print of Python, print f of C and C out of C++. So this is one of the basic commands. With that, let's move on to the next command, which is help command. This command provides us with instructions about how to use a particular command and also with every detailed information for every command. Let's try it in the CMD itself. So we will type help and hit enter. You can see all the commands are listed. And if you want to get information about a particular command, you have to type help space echo. Like for example, I'm taking echo. You can like type any of the commands which are listed here. So for example purpose, I'm using echo. And if you hit enter, you can see it will give you information about the echo command. Like if you type only echo, then it will display the echoing feature, whether the echoing feature is on or off. And if you type echo space along with any string or characters, it will type as it is. So this is all about the help command. So the next command lined up is the dir command. And this command displays all the folders which are present in your default drive. So let's try it in the CMD screen. We will type dir and hit enter. Okay. As you can see, it has listed all the folders and files which are present in my C drive. And also, it also displays the volume serial number for this. So this is also one of the basic commands we can say. Okay. Next command is also a basic command, which is version command. So it is used to get information about our Microsoft Windows version. So let's try it in the CMD. We will type only ver and hit enter. As you can see, it has given us information about my Microsoft Windows version. So again, this is also one of the basic commands. With that, let's move on to a next command, which is Cls command. And again, I would like to get my CMD screen in front of me. So have you guys like you have seen that my CMD screen is cluttered with all the commands which we have been trying from the start, like the echo command, help command and all. And if you want to practice your next set of commands on a fresh screen, so for that purpose, you can use this command, which is Cls command. So if you type Cls and hit enter, you can see the commands which we have been practicing have been vanished off, and you have got a fresh screen to practice your next set of commands. So this is all about the Cls command. Moving on to the next one, which is timeout command. So let's try it again in the CMD. We will type timeout space any number of seconds. For example, I will type 5. So you can see there is a timer of 5 seconds going on. And for that 5 seconds, the processor pauses everything. And like, for example, I've given 5 seconds. You can give any number of specified seconds. There is no like such a thing, like we have to give only 5 seconds or all. So this is all about the timeout command. Next one is the pause command. And let's hop on to the CMD again. And if you type pause and hit enter, you can see the processor will stop everything until and unless we press any random key and resume the processor. So now I'm pressing the enter key, and you can see the directory is again visible in which we are currently working, and the processor has resumed now. So as the description suggests, it works like the same. Next command is the title command. So let's get the CMD screen again. So have you ever guys wondered about like how to set a custom title? Like here it is written command prompt, but if you're going to give a custom title like your name or something, so with the help of this command, we can do so. Like we can type title. And for this workshop purpose, I would like to give name as IEEE or power of CMD. Let's hit enter. As you can see, it was written your command prompt, and now we have given a custom title, which is IEEE power of CMD. So in this way, we can change the title of the command prompt screen. So moving on to the next command, which is @echo of command. As I had promised earlier, I would let you know about the echoing feature. This is the time. So let's again move on to the CMD screen, and let's type only echo and hit enter. You can see a message which says echo is on. Now, if you type echo and OFF, okay, and hit enter, you can see like now the directory is not visible. But if you want to print a particular like string, like I will type echo hello, and if you hit enter, you can see hello is printed. But like firstly, when we tried, the directory was again printed after the hi, but now the directory is not printed. So basically, if the echoing feature is off, it will not print the directory. And if the echoing feature is on, it will go on printing the directory in which we are currently working. So for now, I would like to keep the echoing feature on. So we will give it echo on and hit enter. You can see the directory is again visible. So yeah. Basically, we can say it like in short, we can say it hides the location or path or the directory in which we are currently working. With that said, moving on to the next command, which lets us create variable, and the command's name is set command. So let's start in the CMD. We will like directly demonstrate it. Like we will type set x, like you can give them a variable name, anything which you want, and we will type this is a variable and hit enter. So when we want to see, like we have given this is a variable and we want to see the output manually. So for that purpose, we have to type echo percentage sign, 2% sign, and in between that we have to give the variable which we had used, which is x, and hit enter. You can see we had typed this is a variable is printed as output also. So one thing I would like to mention here, it is that percentage sign are very much important. It can be set as it is the syntax, and without it, it will not work. So please keep that thing in mind. So with that said, we will be moving on to the next command, which lets us accept input from the user. So again, we will try it in the CMD screen. We will just type set /p, any variable name. For now, I will take it as m, and is equal to what is your name and question mark. So it will ask us to give the input. Now for this workshop purpose, I would like to give my colleague's name, which is Jay, and I will type Jay and hit enter. Now again, you want to see the output of this input. Okay, so you will type echo percentage sign are very much important as it is a syntax, and again the variable which you had declared, which is m in my case, and hit enter. You can see I had given J as the name and it has printed J as the output as the name which we had given. So this is pretty much simple, and in this way we can accept the input from the user. Now we would understand the arithmetic operators. So in basic, we all know addition sign, subtraction sign, multiplication sign, and division sign. Like all of these signs are used for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of two operands respectively. But one thing to take a note about it is percentage sign is used to get the remainder of two operands. So these all are the arithmetic operators. With that said, moving on to the next one is which are expression variables. So let's again see in the CMD screen. We will type set/a and give a variable which you want, like n is equal to, and we will give a simple math, which is 1 plus 1. We will get 2. Again, if you want to get the answer manually, you can type echo percentage sign, and in between that we have to get we have to declare the variable which you had given, which is n in my case, and we will just hit enter. It will give the same answer. So one thing I would like to mention here, it is /a is very much important. It is the syntax of the command, and without it, it will not work. Similarly, while accepting input also, I had typed /p, and it is the syntax of the command. If you don't give it, like, it will not work. So we have to keep that things in mind. So we will try to like see one example of all the arithmetic operators now. Let's hop on again to the CMD screen, and we will type set/a n is equal to -1 and hit enter. You can see it gives us 0. Again, set/a n is equal to, it again gives you the answer, which is 4. And again, set a n is equal to, you can see the answer is 2. Now, like this one is an important one, which gives out the remainder, which is set/a n is equal to 3%, and hit enter. You can see it gives out the remainder, which is 1. So with that said, now we would understand about the relational operators. So two things I would like to mention, and which are very much important. One is a relational operator is declared between operands, and the second thing is its output would always be a Boolean value, which means it would be either true or either false. So with that said, we would take our first relational operator, which is EQ relational operator. So it is used to test the equality between two operands. For example, 2 equals to 2. We all obviously know that it will return a Boolean value of true. But if it was given as 4 equals to 2, then it would return a false value. Similarly, in NEQ relational operator, it would give a true value if the case was like 3 not equals to 2. Then similarly, we have other operators like Lss operator, which is used to check if left operand is less than the right operand. Similarly, GTR operator is used to check if the left operand is greater than the right operand. Then the LEQ operator is used if the left operand is less than or equal than the right operand. And last, which is GEQ operator, is used to check if the left operand is greater than or equal than the right operand. So now let's move on to a very important part, which is about understanding controls. Obviously, not the Uday Bhai wala control. I am talking about control statements, and specifically, we are going to learn about if-else statements. So guys, let's try to understand this with an example, for which you just need to know about English and nothing else. So let me let me open a file which I had prepared for this purpose. Okay. So as you can see, if the weather is sunny, then we go trekking, else we sleep. We can see this statement. So here you can see if and else. These are termed as keywords, and these are specific set of commands which the compiler already knows and executes the commands accordingly. And that is also a reason why it has a specific color in any of the code editor, like Visual Studio Code or any code editor which you may prefer. So after that, after the if command, we can see a yellow color statement, which are called as conditions. And If we call back, we had just learned about the relational operators. Those are our conditions. So here, the weather is sunny is our condition. And I would also like to mention that a condition is only declared in the if statement. So now suppose the weather is really sunny, then we will go trekking. Basically, after condition, the thing which we follow are the actions. That is, then we go trekking is the action and which we will be following. Now, in case of else keyword, if the weather was not really sunny, like we can say, for example, the weather was rainy or something, then the else block will be executed. That is, we would go to sleep. And yeah, as I had mentioned in the relational operator also, here also our output would be in a Boolean value. That is, it would either be true or false. So with all this thing, now you might have encountered a fact that we are only able to check one condition at a time. So if you want to check multiple conditions, for that case, I would like to open another file which I had prepared, which is the else if block. So again, I will read the statement first. If the weather is sunny, then we go trekking. Else if the weather is windy, then we go skydiving. Else we sleep. Here you can see that else if block is one, overall the statement is similar, but we have added one else if block. So let's try to understand first all the things, which is if, else if, and else are the keywords here. The weather is sunny and weather is windy are the conditions, and the blue thing, which is then we go trekking, then we go skydiving, or we sleep, are the actions which we follow. So here just you can see like we have extended one block, which is the else if block. But if we want to give multiple conditions, then it can be done simply by just giving the else if block. Like we can use multiple else if block. So fact we might have encountered, like if we want to use multiple conditions, then we can do it in such a similar way. So now let's try to understand this if else statement by implementing one of the relational operators. So now for that purpose, I will open my CMD screen again, and we will type. I will try to open my Visual Studio Code through the CMD screen. So for that purpose, I will type mkdir, and like I will create a folder name in which I want to save my programs. So workshop programs. Enter. Sorry. Okay. I will type another folder. Okay. It is already existing. Programs. This statement will create a mkdir is a command which will create a folder named as programs. So let's check it in the directory itself. Mine is in this one. So for you guys, it may all be like it will be on the desktop itself. So yeah. So here is the folder we can see, and then we would type as like we want to go in that directory, like programs folder which we had created. So we will type cd programs and hit enter. So we are now in this directory, which is cd programs. As you can see, after Gaura, it is typed as programs. So now we want to open the VS Code. So we will type code space and a full stop and hit enter. Now you can see our Visual Studio Code will be opened in that directory itself. So for those guys whose Visual Studio Code didn't open, like through this command prompt process, you can open it through like manual method. Like you can type it here Visual Studio Code and you will get the app also. So no need to worry about like it is not opening through CMD. So you can open it through here also. Now we will create a file which is like a normal editable file, and like we want to convert a normal editable file into a batch file. For that purpose, you will type like we are going to demonstrate about if else. So we will type if else .bat. So .bat is very much important. It converts a normal editable file into a batch file and hit enter. So you can see if else .bat is a file which is created. So now let's type @ echo of command first, because we would not like to see the directory path all over the CMD screen. So let's type @echo of. Let's hit enter. So we would be checking the we would be using one of the operators, which is LEQ operator in the relational operator itself, and we know that it means we are going to check if it is less than or equal to. So for example, I will type if 4 space LEQ 6. I will open the brace and hit enter. Basically, we are checking if the left operand is less than or equal than the right operand. So, yep, in that thing, we have to give a command, which is we can give any command. For example, I will type echo hi. Like if this command is true, then it will print it as hi. And we have to also give a else block, which is we may give as another command like print it as echo hello. And lastly, we have to give a pause command because it is one of the important commands. Without it, our CMD screen would not halt. So let's save it and try to run it. Yeah, our program is created and we will try to run it. As we know, 4 is less than or equal to 6. It is true. So it has printed hi. We had given hi. So echo hi. So I hope you guys have got a clear understanding about the if-else statement. And moving on to the next command, which is a label command. So basically, labels can be used to bifurcate a specific piece of code. Like we know while we are doing major projects, in that case, we need such type of bifurcation in order to understand the code well. So in that case, we can make use of labels. Okay, then I would let you know about labels in one of the upcoming codes also. So for now, we will move on to the next command, which is goto command. So goto command is used to direct a specific piece of code to another one. Like for example, when we want to loop a particular code, we can use this command. You all would get a better clarity about labels and goto command by seeing this example, which I am going to implement now again. So again, we will need a VS Code and we will create a new file with a .bat extension, which is very much important. L for labels and G for goto and .bat. Okay. So hit enter. Okay. So again, here we will give @echo of again first because we would not like to see the directory all over the CMD screen and hit enter. So again, now we are going to declare a label. And I would like to mention one thing, which is we have to give a colon sign before declaring a label, which is the syntax of label. So yep, we will type the colon and type label name as label1 for this demonstration purpose, right? Inside, we will give one command, which is echo hi and hit enter. Again, I have given as echo command. You can give any command which you want, but for this demonstration purpose, I'm using the echo hi command. So let's hit enter and let's create another variable named as label2. At that, we will give one command, which is echo hello. Okay, again, you can give any command. For this demonstration purpose, I'm using echo hello. Then we would type, we would go on the next line and we would give a command, which is goto command, and we would direct it to go to label1. So let's save it and let's see the output first. Then I would let you know about how the program actually works. So let's open that folder and here is the file. Here you can see hi and hello is printed in a repeated loop. Like basically it goes on typing it. So let's try to understand the code itself. So @echo of will not print the directory in which we are working. That's clear. Then this is the label which is used to bifurcate this particular piece of code from this all. So label2 is used to bifurcate this pieces of code, and basically echo, like it prints. And then we can see go to label1. So basically it will first print hi, then it will print hello, and then it will go in a loop. Like hi and hello will be printed in a continuous loop. So this is one of the basic codes which I implemented in order to give you a better clarity about labels and go to command. So with that said, moving on to a next command, like it is one of the fun commands, I will say, which is a random module command. And let's try it in the CMD, I would say. Okay. Let's type CMD. Okay. Yeah, let me zoom in a bit. Okay. So here also, again, percentage sign are very much important. And in between that, you have to type random and hit enter. As you can see, a random number is generated, which is 1409. So every time you type this command, you will get a random number every time. So this is one of the fun commands. So yup. Now let's move on to a part which is not talked much. Like personally, when I code on any day and when I try to refer that code, like after a week or something, then I assume only God knows what I had coded. So basically, I'm talking about the code readability issues. And like, how can we resolve this? The answer is pretty much simple by using comments. So what are comments? A line of text that appears in a program but is not executed by the program. And why do we use comments? Like as I mentioned, I forget what I had coded that day basically. For that purpose, we can use comments. And one thing to mention is while declaring a comment, we have to give double colon as it is shown in this example also. So keep that thing in mind while declaring a comment. So now I think we all are well equipped with good amount of knowledge of commands. And now with all that information of commands, we are going to implement and create a first falling matrix project. So I think you guys all are excited, and give me a thumbs up if you have been following me through all these commands. So now we are going to create a falling matrix project. Again, we will be going on towards the Visual Studio Code, and we will again create a bat file for that purpose. Okay, so I will type falling matrix project. .bat extension is very much important to convert it into batch file, and hit enter. Okay, so again, firstly we will type @echo of command because we would not like to see the directory all over the CMD screen, and then let's hit enter. So one thing I would like to show you guys now, which is, okay, let me get this on screens and let's get a fresh CMD screen. Okay, I will type help color and hit enter. As you can see, like every character is representing a particular color. And as I had said, we want to create our so-called personalized hacking wala screen. And as we know, in those screens, we have green color characters. So here you can see A represents light green color. So we will just type here it as color A. Basically, this line will make our characters appear red. And then we would also like to give a sci-fi or a geeky title to our CMD screen. So for that purpose, we have to use the title command and type hacking system. This is my title for the project. Then we would declare a label. So basically, we want to generate random characters which are coming from like upward direction and going towards the bottom direction. So we have to declare a label for that purpose now, and let's give it label name as top. So colon is very much important while declaring a label, and the name as top, and then hit enter. Okay. So we will now type echo and percentage sign in between and type random. So we will test our code here, but firstly we have to give the pause command. So the CMD screen will halt and we would be able to see the output. Let's try to save it and let's run it again now, like whether it is printing a random number or not. So yes, you can see it is printing a random number, which is 2212 in this case. So basically, I will try to repeat this command a number of times. So like 3 times. Okay, let's save it. And again, I have copy pasted that random command. So yeah, let's try to run it again. So yeah, you can see it goes on filling the void space which is in the CMD screen. So basically, we have to repeat that random command a number of times so that it keeps on filling the void space. So again, I will paste it a random number of times, not a measured number of times. So I guess it is pretty much good now. We have pasted a good number of times. And let's try to save it and run it now. Okay. Yeah, and the numbers are like random numbers are generated a good number of times. So now as I had said, we want to make the characters like they are appearing from the upward direction and going towards the bottom direction. So for that purpose, we would make the use of goto command. So we will type goto. We will declare the label whose name is top. So let's save it. And before that, we have to remove this pause command, or else goto would not make sense. By making use of goto, it would not make sense. So for that purpose, we have removed the pause command. Let's save it. And after seeing the output, I would let you know, like explain about the flow, how the program works. So, okay, just a second. Yeah, as you can see, the random characters are generated from an upward direction and they are going towards the bottom direction. So first, let's understand about the program. Like @echo off is used because we don't want to see the directory in which we are working. Then color A is used to give the characters color. Then title is used to give the title to the command prompt window. Then we created a label, and inside that we gave the command about echo random, like it types random numbers on the CMD screen. And we repeated the command as we wanted to fill in the void space which was there. And then we made use of the goto command, which directed to the label which is named as top. So as we can see, okay, let me like maximize it. So as we can see, our code is congratulations. We have just now completed our first project successfully. And let me go on to the screen. Okay. This is what we made, falling matrix project. And also, I would like to give you a small disclaimer, like don't keep that screen running for a longer period of time because it utilizes a processor's processing power. With that said, now we are done with the basics as well as our falling matrix project. Now I would like Jay to take on to explain the further exciting projects. Over to you, Jay.
Okay, so am I audible and is my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, so we definitely have completed our basics and we have made our project as well. Pretty sure that feels good, right? Exposing Hollywood, exposing Bollywood for their green hacking screens and stuff like that. You know, now we can create our own hacking screens. But with enough of hacking, yeah, let's get started to learning some slightly more advanced tricks, okay? And these tricks are slightly harder to get, these concepts are slightly harder to get your head around those. So there might be instances where you might want to get your doubts resolved, okay? So feel free to use feel free to, you know, reach out to us in any form, okay? Or you could just use the break to clear your doubts. So there's that. But with that said, it's time to level up. It's time to go to the next level, and we don't do it dry way. Okay, we don't do it dry learning way. Okay, we always build projects. So this is your challenge time. We will be building a project out of it while we are learning the intermediate batch concepts. But before that challenge, we had some other challenges, right, from our childhood, right? And I don't know for y'all's, but I'm pretty sure there should be at least a few people here who have played gully cricket in their life. And is there anyone here who? Oh, okay, those thumbs up are enough. Yeah, that's more than enough. Okay, yeah. So I'm pretty sure some of you here or a few of you here might have played gully cricket in your life, in your childhood. Like back in my day, I used to be the gully cricket guy as well. And we had an issue, I don't even need to say that we had this issue. Every gully that had cricket had this issue. And there were among many issues, this was the prominent one. Like there was only one bat. Yeah, that is an issue. There were no stumps. That is an issue. But the bigger issue was the fact that we didn't have a method of toss. There was no way of having a toss, a uniform way of toss. So what did we resort to in that case? Yeah, eclair ka wrapper. Used to throw that up, and the purple side and the silver side, and that wrapper never used to come down. It used to just go away, and legend says it's still going away. Okay, but the more solid alternative was some kind of tiles. We for some reason these tiles are everywhere. Pretty sure these tiles are everywhere to create fights. Okay, because we had these tiles where the place where we used to play gully cricket, we had these tiles, and the tiles are pretty wacky in a way that there's different variations of them. So there's one side is going to be black, the other side is going to be white, and there's the other variations wherein one side is cream color and the other is black and stuff like that. You get the point, right? But no matter what you did, okay, whenever you used to flip the coin or flip the tile, it used to come down and used to break down into two equal pieces of opposite colors. Okay, and then cricket was never the game to be played. Okay, वो WWE का टेक डाउन हो जाता था. Cricket was never the sport to be played at that point. It used to be fights all over the place. So that is the moment. That was the moment of my life when I realized that I needed this. Okay, very simple flip a coin project. That's enough of a backstory for our project, right? So we will be building a flip a coin project. We'll be building this simple project, but we will be also learning quite a few stuffs on our way of building. So let's get started with our flip a coin project, which is our second project for the day. Now you don't need to do the heavy lifting, okay, because we are going to be providing you with the starting files, and the link for those will be posted in the chat box ASAP. The tech team would provide you with the links, and okay, I'm pretty sure they have posted it. Yeah, so as you can see, there are two options in the chat. Okay, so one option is using the Git or the Git clone or the GitHub stuff like that. Okay, now if you are someone who has knowledge about development, then you can go directly and paste this into your CLI. Okay, I'm not going to demonstrate the Git clone method of downloading the starting files, because I'm assuming if you are going by this method, you definitely know what you're doing. Okay, but for those who are new to development, we will go with the simple ways of life. Okay, and we are going to download it via the drive link. Okay, so let me just take the link as well, because I don't have the link either. Let's take it from the chat. Okay, there we go. Let's click on it, and you should be following along, I'm assuming. So you should be taken to a page similar to this. Now, if you don't get this kind of a UI, you don't get this no preview available, that means your internet isn't as strong. In that case, you could just simply click here, download. Okay, this download works just as fine as this download. So I'm going to click on this one. And then it says Google Drive can't scan for viruses and stuff like that. So it's essentially saying that I've put viruses in that file. But trust me, I'm not misusing my power. I trust me at least on that, because I have done the history part. So I will not do that in any way. So just click on download anyway, and that should start the download. Now I'm going to save mine on my desktop. You could save yours wherever you want. I'm saving mine on desktop, but I would encourage you to save it on your desktop as well, because it's really easy to use it constantly with the CMD. That's what is my intention. So that's downloaded. So let's close that. Let's close this. Let's close this. Okay, let's keep my PPT smoothly running. Okay. Now, if you have downloaded, I'm going on my new desktop. Actually, you don't need to do that. Essentially, I'm doing this because my PPT doesn't get hampered. So you might see some file like this. It says coin flip starting file, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, if you double click on this to open this, Windows is going to yell at us. It says Windows protected your PC from blah, blah, blah. Just it essentially is saying that this file might contain viruses, but again, I'm not misusing my power. Simply click on this more info and click on run anyway. Okay, and this should open up the starting file. So I'm going to open it up. I'm going to zoom into it. So this is our starting file. Okay, this is as much as I have provided the code for you, and this is from where we will be beginning our code. Okay, so let's actually go and open this file into our VS Code. So there are a couple of ways you can do this. The simplest way, and that's why I have put mine on my desktop, is I can drag and drop it on my VS Code. Okay, and it will open it into VS Code. Now, if you didn't save your file on your desktop, well, then you are going to be like, oh, Jay, now what do I do? I didn't save it on my desktop, right? So in that case, you can go into your file and you go open file, and the shorthand is Control O. You can see that. You go open file and you go to the directory wherever your file is saved. In my case, it's just on my desktop. So there we go. It's coin flip starting file, and you click open. Okay, so this opens up your starting file. Okay, now is there anyone here who has encountered any kind of issues with the installation? Just feel free to post your issues in the chat so that the tech team or Gaurang could resolve those. But if you haven't faced any issues, then you should be having the file opened up into your VS Code. If you went with the git clone method, then you don't actually need to do this run anyway and virus stuff. Okay, and that's not how git clone works. You could just do it and it opens up as naturally as it could. Okay, so this is our starting file, and I'm not seeing any concerns in the chat, so I'm assuming everyone has downloaded it fine enough. So let's get started and let's try to see what's going on inside here. Okay, but before that, let's actually see what we want to make. Okay, so this is something that we want to make by the end. Okay, so this is what our coin flip app should look like. So it should have this kind of a UI which says coin flipper, 1 for flip a coin, 2 for help, 3 to quit. That this should be an input field where the user is prompted to enter whether if they want to enter 1 or they want to enter 2 or they want to enter 3. Okay, now if the user enters 1, okay, then they should be redirected to a new page wherein they should have this kind of a UI where it says coin flip and it randomly generates a heads or tails, and then it should ask the user again whether if we want to flip again. So if we say Y in this case, this process should be repeated. Okay, we should again flip a coin and get heads or tails. But if I say N in this case, then it should take me back to the home page. Okay, no questions asked. Now, if I enter 2, it should take me to a new page of help where there is some help provided on how the program works. And if I enter 3, well, the program should close down. Okay, so the entire program should close down if I enter 3. So this is something that we want to make. And essentially, if we look carefully, well, our home page looks pretty much ready, right? If we open a program, well, we've got pretty much stuff ready. Okay, yeah, we've got pretty much ready. We've got 1 to flip a coin, we've got 2 to help, we've got 3 to quit. We only don't have is the input prompt. There's this pause statement, right? This is a pause. There we go. This is the pause that we see. It's just paused the processor here. But other than that, our home page looks pretty much done, right? We have provided into our starting files. Let's actually see what we need to do. So the first thing we need to do is we want to add an input field here. Okay, we need to capture the input from the user and we need to store it into a variable so that we can use it for our further operations. So how can we do that? Okay, so firstly, there's nothing like pause in the actual program that we want to make. You don't see any pause here. So let's actually get rid of this pause. So bye-bye pause. Now let's see how we can create an input field for the user where the user can enter the data. Now this can be very simple. Gaurang has already taught us this. Like there is something called as set/p. Okay, and this creates an input variable. So let's decide what we want to name our variable. So let's keep it for this sake, let's keep it very simple. Let's keep it as input. So set/p equals set/p input equals to something. So let's say enter your input. Let's keep it very simple. let's give a colon. Let's save that. Control S is the shorthand for save. Alternatively, you could go and see this. We go this way. But if we save that and if we open our file, here we go. It says enter your input, and now we can enter whether we want 1, whether we want 2, whether we want 3. Now don't actually hit enter because we haven't coded for the further part, so it won't actually work. But our input part is pretty much done, right? We did what we wanted to. Now you could keep it as it is, like you could keep it as enter your input, but in my case I'm trying to replicate this, so I would just keep a colon, but you're free to keep anything. So I'm just going to remove all of this, enter your input part, and I'm going to keep it as this colon only, okay, so that we can see what's going on and that we can replicate. So let's try that again. Let's open up, and there we go. We've got our colon ready and our home page is pretty much done, right? We have the conflipper, we have 1, 2, 3, and then there's this closing line, and then there is this input field. Let's actually try to understand what's going on in the code of the home label. Okay, so there is this home label. So there's right after we begin the home label, there's the CLS. The CLS essentially clears the screen so that we get a fresh slate, okay, an absolutely new screen. Then there is this echo full stop that doesn't make sense, right? What is this echo full stop doing, right? There's this thing echoed out, so this is just printing that on the screen, so echo point flipper. And then there's another echo full stop that doesn't make any sense what it is doing. Then there is echo 1 flip a coin, echo 2 help, echo 3, there's echo dash, and there's again an echo full stop. So currently just don't pay attention to what this echo full stop is, but try to pay attention on what these other options are. Well, they are just essentially printing out stuff. So you could see echo coin flipper, well, that means there has been this thing printed on the screen. There's echo 1 flip a coin, echo 2 help, echo 3 quit, and then there's this closing line. So all of this is printed out. But what is this echo full stop doing, right? What is the purpose of this? Let's try this once again. Let's go into our CMD, and yeah, let's try doing echo full stop. Echo full stop. Well, there we go. It did nothing, right? Or did it? Let's see. If you look very carefully, it just printed an empty line, okay? If you look very carefully, it printed an empty line. I don't believe you, Jay. Prove the cow. Let's try something else. Let's say echo hello, okay? We see hello being printed, but in the case of an echo full stop, we see nothing being printed. It's just an empty line that is being printed. So if you want to print an empty line, you could use echo and full stop, and mind you, there's no space between that, because if you give a space, then it will actually print a full stop. Like you can see in this case, it printed out a full stop actually. Now alternatively, if you have some kind of hostility with full stop, दुश्मनी हो गया full stop से, then you can also use the colon. So the colon also does the same thing. It just prints an empty line. So echo colon prints out an empty line as well. So there's that. So that is what this echo full stop is doing. It's printing empty lines so that our code looks neat, right? There you go. This is an empty line, this is an empty line, this is an empty line. So this is what our code, this is what the echo full stop is doing. We're printing empty lines to make our code look pretty. So that is understood. Now we actually can enter data. We can enter 1, we can enter 2, we can enter 3, but essentially nothing is happening, right? We pretty much can't see. If I hit enter, nothing is going to happen. It's completely going to act weirdly because we haven't coded it. So we actually want to redirect them to the correct place. So if I want to flip a coin, if I enter 1, then it should actually flip a coin for me. There is this label for the flip part. So all the flip a coin code should go inside this part. There's this label for help. So if I enter 2, we should be redirected to this part, that is the 2, wherein I've just added some random text on how the flip a coin project works. So this is a simple coin flip program, and the probability of getting heads or tails is just 50-50. And if I enter 3, it should redirect me to this quit part wherein the program closes. So let's actually add some dummy text here so that we actually see what's going on. So let's say echo flip here. Very simple dummy text so that we can actually know where we are in our code. And let's add echo quit here. Very simple. Now we know where we are. Let's actually use this to manipulate the input that we are going to get into this variable, right? So how can we do that? So we definitely do know that there's something that the user will say out of 1, 2, or 3. So we need to tap on that condition of what the user says. Okay, so we definitely have studied about the if-else statements. Okay, so we will be using that concept here. Okay, we have the if word, then we have the condition, and then we have the action. I'm pretty sure you guys remember that. Let's actually start working towards that. So we definitely have to say if. What is going to be our condition in this case, right? We can't say if check if 2 equals to 3, right? We can't say 4 equals to 5, check if 4 is not equals to 5, check if 5 is less than 2, right? We don't need to check for those kind of conditions. We need to check conditions in reference to this variable. So we can simply say, we'll check if the input equals to 1, right? Anyone got any concerns with that? Anyone want to debate on this, how this is possible? We're simply tapping into the value of this variable. Okay, we're tapping into this input variable and checking if its value equals to 1, right? The user is going to enter 1, 2, or 3, right? So if the user enters 1, that means they want to flip a coin. That means they should be redirected to this part. So if the input equals to 1, then we can simply say go to flip, right? We are going to redirect them to this flip label. I hope there's no concerns with that. Just if else statements that we are using. Now, if the user enters 2, okay, that means they want to go to the help screen. Okay, that means we want to redirect them to this label, that is the help label. So how do we go around doing that? Firstly, we can't use another if statement because we have already used an if. Let's use an else if statement. Let's use the else if keyword. So else if we check if the input equals to 2, okay, and if the input equals to 2, and we just redirect them to the help label, right? Is it help? Yeah, there we go, it's help label. So if the user enters 1, then they go to the flip part. If they enter 2, then they go to the help label. Now there's another condition, that is else if. We'll check else if the input equals to 3. And if the input equals to 3, well, in that case, it's pretty obvious that they want to quit the game. So in that case, we're going to redirect them to this quit label, okay? So we're just going to say echo, go to quit. There you go. We're going to save that, and that should be all good, right? Let's test this out. So we're going to minimize this and let's open our program. So if I enter 1, we should be taken to the flip part. Okay, it didn't take me to the flip part. Let's see what mistake I've made. Okay, if we check if the input equals to 1, we echo to the flip. Okay, there's the mistake. I haven't added a pause keyword here. So it's essentially, it completed this task and then it went here, it cleared the screen, and then it printed this thing and it timed out. Okay, so with that is the importance of the pause keyword. Okay, I just demonstrated it live. Totally not a bug that I created. We edited that part out of the recording. That totally did not happen. No one saw that. So this is what is the significance of the pause. So what you also noticed is it didn't even print this, right? You also think that it didn't print flip. It actually did print flip, but the processing was so fast that it printed this, then it went along with the flow. It cleared the screen. It also printed this, it printed this, and then it timed out for 12 seconds. Okay, and then after that it would have gone home. Okay, so right on to the home page. So that is what is the part. Okay, and we totally don't talk about that. I only did it for purpose, just to see if you guys are paying attention. Absolutely not the other way around. So if now I enter 1, there we go, it says flip and it says press any key to continue. Let's try that with 2. So if I enter 2, there we go, it says it took me to the help label. It says this is a simple conflict program, the probability of edge trails is 50-50. Okay, that's all good. Let's try entering 3, and again I totally did it because I wanted to check if you guys are paying attention. Totally, absolutely. don't question that. So we added a pause statement. We hadn't added it here. So let's try that again. So if I enter 3, there we go. It says quit. So this label works out. So all of this is working out. Now we actually do need to do one thing, is we need to add an else condition. Now the question is why, right? Well, the user is either going to enter 1, or they're going to enter 2, or they're going to enter 3. Why do we need an else condition? What if the user is someone like me? Okay, I want to test my code real hard. So what if I enter 5 right now? Okay, it's going by the flow. It shouldn't be going like this, but it's going by the flow. So if I enter 700, it's still going by the flow. It should tell the user that that was an invalid input, right? Instead, it's just going by the flow. So we need an else block for that. So we can simply use the else block here. So we can say else. So if the user enters anything other than 1, 2, 3, then we need to tell them that echo that they entered an invalid input. So we can simply say an echo invalid input. And let's be slightly more nice. So let's say please try again. And you have to be so nice. And then we just say pause. And actually let's just after that let's just redirect them back home so that they get a fresh screen. So let's save this. If the user enters anything other than 1, 2, 3, then we're gonna say then that it was an invalid input. Please try again. We pause it and then we just redirect them back home. So let's try that again. Let's say 45, which is totally not relevant, and says invalid input. Please try again. Press any key to continue. If I press any key, it just redirects them back home, so they get back to their fresh screen. So this is what we wanted to achieve, and this is what we have achieved. So you can say that our home part is pretty much done. We have successfully completed 1/4 of our project, right? There's only this flip part. The help part is also pretty much done, right? There's nothing much you can add here. So there's only 2 things you need to worry about right now. And the first thing being the actual functionality of our project, that is the flip a coin part. And then there's this quit part, okay? So before we start coding this part, we actually need to study some concepts. So let's just go back onto our PPT where we start learning those concepts. So the concept we need to learn about is the random module. Okay, we need to learn more about the random module. And what is the random module, by the way? Let's actually give you a brief reminder of what it is. Close down, please. Yeah. Go on to our CMD. If you open that up, if you put random between 2 percentage signs and if you hit enter, it generates a random number. Okay, in this case it's 775. If I do that again, we get another random number, and again and again. So we get a random number using the random module. So we need to do something about this to add it to our functionality, to add it to our flip a coin project, right? Because after all, the probability of getting heads and tails is random, right? It's not like it's a fixed. It's going to be either heads or it's going to be either tails. So that has something to do with the random module, that has something to do with randomness. So this is the first question that we are going to have in our mind. So what is the range of the random module? Okay, so the range of the random module, so it will generate a random number in between 0 and 32,767. Okay, so no number greater or lesser than this will be generated in the if we use the random command. And the important question is, can we modify this range? Okay, can we? This is what we want. So the flow that I want for my project is, we'll say suppose if we generate random numbers from 0 to 100, right? So then we can say that if the number is between 0 to 50, well then you can say something like echo heads. And if the number is greater than 50 and less than 100, okay, then we can simply say that echo tails, right? So the probability stays 50-50, okay, absolutely 50-50. And we're getting heads and tails completely randomly, right? So this is the functionality that we want to achieve, and we can modify the range, and very specifically as per our case. So we want the range in between 0 to 100. So we can achieve that by declaring this variable, okay? And we are declaring it like this. So I'm actually going to show this to you on my code, on VS Code. So let's actually go inside the flip part because we want to code it here. And let's actually start with the Cls command because we want to start on a fresh page. Okay, we want to start on a fresh screen. So the Cls command is the first thing. Now let's actually see how we can declare the variable. Okay, so it's certainly going to be an arithmetic variable. So we're going to say set/a, and let's name our variable something relevant. So in my case, I'm going to say random number. So I'm going to say that. And what is that equals to? So we are going to, so it's definitely equals to the random module. So set/a, the variable name is random, and it's equal to random module, and it's equal to the modulo of it to 101. Okay. This variable essentially generates random numbers in the range from 0 to 100. Okay, it generates random numbers from 0 to 100. This is what we want for our project. This is what the entirety of our project is going to be based on. So this variable generates it randomly in that case. Now let's actually see how we can tap into that. So let's say if the number is less than 50, well, then we print out echo so that if the number is less than 50, then we say echo heads, and if the number is greater than 50, then we say tails. Okay, let's do that actually. So let's say check if the value of the random number, we'll check if it is less than 50. So LSS stands for less than. Okay, so check if random number is less than 50, and if it is less than 50, then we can simply say echo heads, right? And else, because the range is only going to be between 0 to 100, so we don't actually need an else if block specifying a condition. So if the number is not less than 50, then it's pretty obvious that the number is greater than or equals to 50, right? So we can simply say else echo tails, not echo tails, echo tails. And if we save this, let's actually remove this echo flip here because that doesn't make sense now. Let's have this pause keyword stay here right at the bottom. So essentially what our code is doing right now is it's generating a random number, and if the random number is less than 50, then we are echoing heads, else we are echoing tails. Well, that's all good. So let's see if our code works. We've opened that up, and if I enter 1, if I press 1, if I hit enter, there we go, we got heads, right? Let's try that again. Let's see if we can get tails. Oh, there we go, we got it really quickly. I thought the probability was 50-50, thought it would take much longer. But we got tails and heads, so our code is definitely working, except for the fact that it doesn't look like this, right? This looks pretty neat. Ours looks like shabby, right? It looks like whatever. It's just like some lazy programmer just did some code, right? We need to make our code look better, okay? And again, okay, let's first add the functionality. So let's first add this. Do you want to flip again or not? Okay, y/n. So we definitely have the pause word. We definitely have press any key to continue on our code, right? There you go, we have the press any key to continue. So let's actually add a function where the user gets the option whether if they want to flip again or not. So we can simply say, well, check if something like, okay, let's actually set a variable. So let's set /p, let's set an input variable, and let's say, do you want to flip again? Do you want to flip again? Let's add a question mark, and let's make it very obvious that it's going to be y/n. Okay, I forgot the variable name, so sorry. Let's give it a variable name as choice. Okay, so set/p choice equals to, do you want to flip again, y/n, and let's save it and let's see if our code is working. I hit 1, and there we go. It says press any key to continue, and then it's saying, do you want to flip again? That's all good. Now let's actually add the functionality to it. So we're gonna say if, we'll check if the value of choice is equals to y. Okay, so if that is equals to y, then we are going to redirect them to the flip part. So they essentially want to flip again, so we want them to redirect it at that point. So we're going to say echo go to flip. Now else if the value of choice, so if the value of choice is equals to n, okay, so in that case it's pretty obvious that they want to go back to home. They don't want to flip the coin again, so they want to go back home. So this is where we're going to redirect them. And other than that, let's just add an else condition. Wait, where am I? Okay, there am I. It's really hard. That's why comments are important. So let's add an else condition just to catch some exceptions. So you're going to say echo invalid input. So if the user enters anything other than y or n, then that is going to be an invalid input. We're just going to tell them that. So echo invalid input. Let's be nice. Please try again. And if that is the case, we just want them to see it. So we're going to go with pause, and then we're just going to send them home. So go to home. So let's save that, and let's actually open up code again. So if I enter 1, there you go, it says heads, press any key to continue. And it asks me if I want to flip again. So if I say Y, it says it flipped the coin again, we got tails, right? If I hit Y again, then we get any other key. If I hit Y again, so on and so forth. So this is what is the flip part, okay? Yeah, so this is what is the flip a coin part. I'm pretty sure that makes sense. Is there any concerns by now that anyone wants to address? Because it's been quite a whole lot of coding that we have done until now. Okay, so if there's none, I don't see any in the chat. I'm assuming there's none. Yeah, let's keep moving with the. Let's keep moving. Let's try to improve our UI there because we want to achieve something like this. Okay, so let's actually move our way towards that part. Okay, so this is where we want to give some spaces. Okay, let's give some fixed amount of spaces. Let's keep it equally. That let's add some other echoes here. So let's add some echo dashes. That should be enough. Let's add some echo and let's say what? Coin flip. And again, you don't need to do this because I'm just doing it because I'm trying to replicate the code above as in the PPT. So I'm just trying to make sure my code looks pretty. The functionality just remains the same. It doesn't affect the functionality. So it says we have coin flip and then it just says tails. Assuming I gave much more spaces than needed. Let's remove some spaces here. Let's remove some spaces here. There we go. It should be fine. And that should be, yeah, that should be fine. Let's not keep fine tuning our spaces and dashes. Let's just add a closing line here. So echo, let's add some lines here so that should be fine. Yeah, that looks fine for me. If I hit 1, there we go. That's all neat and tidy now. So if I enter Y, flips again, we're getting tails. Okay, there we go, heads. So now if I say N, it should take me back home. Okay, that's all there is to the flip functionality. So you guys might have seen we have successfully completed our flip part. We have added the flip functionality, and the only part that remains right now is this part, okay, the quit part. So we definitely need to add this functionality because currently if I enter 3, okay, and if I hit enter, it says quit, but it does nothing other than that. Okay, so we actually want our program to close down when this happens. So let's actually add a functionality for that. But before that, we need to learn some concepts. And that concept is pretty simple. That is the exit concept. Okay, so the exit command essentially quits the command interpreter, or it just exits out the currently active bash script. So let's try that in action once. Let's see. Let's go into our CMD and let's try entering exit. Okay, it's pretty obvious what it should be doing. There shouldn't be any concerns whatsoever. So if I enter exit, and if I hit if I type exit and if I hit enter, it closes down. Okay, let's do that once again. Proof, hit exit, there we go. That is all there is to the exit command. So we need to implement this functionality into our code. Okay, we need to implement this functionality in our code. So what we can simply do is, let's first write some neat text. Okay, but okay, let's first add some neat text here. Let's say what, glad to see you go. And by the way, let's start with the Cls command so that we actually start from a fresh slide. Let's be nice. Let's say sad to see you go. Let's say what, be back soon. And how do we close it off? We say something like exit, right? No, yeah, the exit command comes after the pause. Sorry, my bad. So after the pause, we say the exit, because we actually want them to read this. So we want them to read sad to see you go, be back soon, and then that. So let's actually try running that. Let's actually say 3 and hit enter. It says sad to see you go, be back soon, press any key to continue. Now if I press any key, well, there we go, it closes down. Pretty simple, right? Now, there might have been one thing that you might have noticed. Why use exit, right? Why should you use exit? And I forgot to add my script here. No, I didn't. There is a purpose why I haven't added a script here, because I can essentially fill this up with technical stuff, okay? And it will be rather hard to understand what's going on. So let's actually see this, the importance of the exit command, with an example. And I promise this example is going to be really trippy. So, okay, just have a look at it for a couple of seconds. And I have this question for you. How many of you get off a car like this? Okay, so do you do this, or what is the frequency of you doing this? Rather, my question being, have you even done this once, right? This isn't the way you get off a car, right? You don't essentially see your stop and you just jump off the car, right? Unless you're playing GTA Vice City, then that's a completely different story. Then you jump out of anything. But if you are a normal person, then you won't actually be jumping out of cars like this, because there's a much nicer way of doing that, right? If you want to get off the car, you can simply say like, okay, you can say to the driver like, okay, I want to get off here, pull over, and the driver will pull over, and then you just open the door. It's such a peaceful way of getting out of the car, unless you, as I said, unless you're playing GTA Vice City. So at that case, the purpose isn't the importance, okay? So you're getting out of the car, but doesn't mean you should jump out of the car to get out of the car. So in that case, let's see one thing what I want to emphasize by saying all of that, okay? Let's see. So in this case, if I remove this exit command, okay, if I remove this, if I save this, let's see what happens. If I open this file, if I enter 3, if I hit okay, so there we go. It says sad to see you go, be back soon, press any key to continue. Now if I press any key, it's still exited out, right? So Jai, tell me, what is the use? What is the importance of this exit keyword? Why should I use it? I am a programmer. I am lazy enough to not type this 4 words, okay? And I won't, because programmers are lazy. That's the reality. So why does this exit thing exist, right? So let me explain to you one thing that is happening here. So essentially your code, let me open it side by side so that you get a clear idea. Okay. So it's clearing the screen. We're getting to the quit part. It's clearing the screen. So we're getting a fresh screen. It's saying sad to see you go. It's saying be back soon. And it's paused. And then there is the exit command. So if you don't have this exit command, okay, so say you don't have this exit command, okay, so in that case, okay, let me just rerun it. In that case, the same thing is happening. It's saying sad to see you go. It's saying be back soon. But after the pause, there's nothing. Okay, there's nothing here. That means your command processor doesn't know what to do. And if you hit any key, it's not closing down. Well, technically you see it as closed down, but it is crashing down. Okay, and there's a huge difference between closing down and crashing down. Okay, and trust me, you don't ever want your app to crash as a developer. And this is where the exit command comes in handy. So this is why we should use the exit command, because we want our apps to close and not crash. Okay, so this is the importance of the exit command. So now if I enter 3, well, visually it doesn't make much of a difference, but as a developer, it is a really good practice to see if your apps are closing down and not crashing down. So that is all there is to this flip a coin project. Okay, we have completed all the intermediate concepts. We have successfully completed our second project, that is the flip a coin project. And now, with that being said, as I promised in the workflow, you guys have a small break of 10 minutes. Okay, and you guys can have your cup of tea or a bottle of water, whatever kind of refreshment you want, after which we will be starting our final project, which is the ultimate, the whole and soul of this workshop. This is why we are here. So I'll see you on the other side. Meanwhile, if you have any concerns that you want to get resolved, then you could post those in the chat section. But if not, then just enjoy your 10 minutes break, and I'll see you on the other side. That's all from my side. Thank you. Okay, can someone confirm if I'm audible?
Yes, Jay, you are audible.
Yeah. So, is everyone back? We have had our 600 seconds. I guess we have more than 600 seconds of break, but we have had a break. Okay, so assuming your brain cells have opened up slightly, because we definitely do need those brain cells working in the best efficiency, because we are going to be building our boss level project, our final level project. It doesn't get harder than this in this workshop. So you're going to be applying all that you have learned into building this project. Okay. Now essentially there will be points where there will be repetitions. Okay. So in that case, I will be copy pasting the code. Okay. But and I also encourage you to do it, because coding it in a repeated manner might create some bugs which we don't really want. So there's that we can do. So let's get started. So we are going to be building our tic-tac-toe project. That is going to be our final project. So if you all don't know what tic-tac-toe is, or if you also want to get acquainted with the rules of tic-tac-toe, the tech team would provide you with a link for tictactoe.org in the chat. I guess it would be provided in a matter of seconds right now. So you could go on that website and you could play the game for yourself. The link would be yeah, so it's essentially important to understand the rules of the tic-tac-toe game, because okay, I'm pretty sure a few people here do know, but let me just click on the link so that we can go there. Did it take me? Yeah, there we go. So this is essentially, so the link will be provided, but if you don't really wish, you could just look at me and I'll explain the rules as well. So that works either way. So the way we can do this is, the way tic-tac-toe works is that the purpose is that there's two symbols. So there's X and there's O. And the purpose is to cross out a row, a column, or a diagonal with three similar symbols. So in this case, okay, that is single blur. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, so in this case, the player X crossed off a column, so the player X wins. Now similarly, if we cross off a row with three similar symbols, the player O wins. And similarly for the diagonals, so in this case, the player O wins because they crossed off a diagonal. So essentially, this is how tic-tac-toe works, and this is what we will be making into our final project. Let me get back to my PPT, because yeah, clicking on the link really ruins the PPT. Yeah, there we go. So again, another gentle reminder, we are on 57 out of 62. So we're almost done, right? So it's the final parts of the project, and this is where you need your maximum thinking capacity to get through this. So congratulations firstly for getting so far into this workshop. It's not really that easy, but you've made it so far. And trust me, I'll make sure you make it till the end. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. And again, you also won't need to be doing the heavy lifting again, because we are providing with the starting files. Again, there will be two options. The link will be fired up in the chat section anytime by the tech team. Again, there are two options: the GitHub link, the GitHub method, or the drive link, the simple one. So those who are opting to go with the Git clone, I won't be demonstrating that, because again, I'm pretty sure if you are using Git clone, then you probably know what you're doing. Okay, I will be demonstrating this method. So yeah, is the link? Yeah, there you go. So the link is in the chat. Let me just pick the link as well. Yeah, let's go. So I've clicked the link, the drive link. And again, we are just repeating the same process. So click on download here and click download anyway. I don't have any viruses, trust me. And I'm going to download it on my desktop. You could download it wherever you want. So I'm just going to save it, and it should be saved up. Let's close this. And yeah, there you go. It's downloaded. Yeah, let's minimize this. Let's minimize this. Okay, there we go. Actually, let's have that on a new desktop. So I'm gonna close VS Code, And let's actually slam it open into our VS Code. So drag and drop it into your VS Code, opens it up. So if you drag and drop, this is the starting file. Oh, sorry, did I open the coin flip starting file? Really sorry. Oh, this is the starting file for the tic-tac-toe game. I thought, why did Windows not yell at us? So if you double click on it, it should say that Windows protected your PC. Simply click on more info and click on run anyway. Okay, so this should open up your starting file, and this is what it looks like. Don't bother any of these right now. Just drag and drop it into your VS Code as well, so that it opens up into your VS Code. This is the coin flip file that we have. Yeah, so this is our starting file. Okay, and as you can see, it's a whole lot of level of coding, right? There's 217 lines of code, and there's a whole lot of blank spaces that we have to code for ourselves. Okay, so that's a huge project. That's a big deal that we need to figure out how we're going to be doing. Let's see, if we open that file, it should see something like this, and we see this kind of a UI. So there's essentially the player X wins count, is this player O wins count. Then there is this board of ours wherein we are going to be playing the tic-tac-toe. And then there is this bug, and this bug exists only because we haven't completed our code. So it's saying that the player O has won the game, but essentially that's false because we haven't really added any code. Okay, so don't be so surprised with that. We haven't really coded. So if we say, would you like to play again? So if I say Y, if I hit enter, it already counts the player O wins. Okay, it says the player O has 0 wins, and you keep doing this. If O is your favorite letter, then you can add player O wins as much as you want. But if I say N, so would you like to play again? No, N. It says goodbye, press any key to continue, and close it up. So this is all the functionality that exists in our code as of now. So we do need to resolve a lot of the issues that exist, and we do need to add a whole lot of functionality. So as of now, this seems slightly overwhelming, right? There's so much code, but just try to pay attention where I want you to. Okay, so there's this label called as variables. Okay, and inside variables, I've just declared a whole lot of variables. Okay, so yeah, so there's this variable. So there's 9 variables essentially, set 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, and all of these are equals to dashes. So there's nothing other than dash. It's simply dashes that they are equal to. There's one variable that has name equals to, that is turn, and its value equals to 0. There's number of turns equals to 0. And after that, I just want you to pay attention to this part. Okay, this is the board. This is where we can see our code going. Okay, this is where we are going to be playing the game. So essentially, you see this parts. There's 1, 2. So all these variables are placed next to each other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And essentially, if you open the file, these variables are what we see on the screen, right? Okay, this is the conflict. Let's put it aside. Yeah. So if I open this, these things that you see are essentially the variables that we see into our file. So those are the variables that we need to pay attention to. And if we go into our code slightly down, so if we go to the help part, there's a help screen that I have coded for you. There we go. There's the help screen. So this is how the game should work. So if I enter 1, so the first variable should get filled. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's put it side by side. So if I enter 1, or if the player enters 1, well, then this block should be filled. If 2, this block. If 3, this. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Now this is currently equals to dash because the values of the variables are equals to dash. Okay. So we definitely need to start working towards that. Okay. So the first tool that we have in our code is to determine the win. Okay. So let's see how we can go around doing that. How does a player win in tic-tac-toe, right? We definitely saw it on our browser that we need three similar symbols in a row, a column, or a diagonal. So these 3 need to be similar, or these 3 need to be similar, or these 3 need to be similar. Either way, a player wins, and this applies to all the rows. So this row, this row, this row, this column, this column, and the 2 diagonals. So this 2 diagonals, right? So your logic says it to you very loudly. At J, we can simply say, well, check if A equals to B equals to C. And if that is true, well, then we can say that player wins, right? So player wins. As easy as that. What is the noise about it? So easy. And you've called this your final project. Well, it's not that easy. Let's think of it for a moment. Okay, all these variables are equals to dash. Okay, so they are essentially equal to each other. So if you say this, check if A equals to B equals to C, even before the game begins, the game would end because all these values are equals, right? So 1 equals to 2 equals to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So all of this is equal. So what we can do, or rather what we should do, is we need to keep one value as the reference value and then check against it if it is not equals to dash. Okay, now if you are considering a row, then let's consider the first row, that is 1, 2, 3, and let's keep 1 as the reference. So let's simply say, well, check if 1 is not equals to dash, and if that is the case, well, then we can check if 1 equals to 2 equals to 3, right? So we can simply say, we'll check if the value of 1 equals to the value of 2, and if that is the case, then we can simply also check if the value of 2 equals to the value of 3. So that is pretty simple. And if that is the case, then we can simply say, okay, sorry. And if that is the case, then we can simply say go to end game, right? So if 1 is not equals to dash, and if 1 equals to 2, and if 2 equals to 3, well, that essentially means that 1 equals to 3. And then we can go to the end game. That means the player wins. If we scroll down, there's this variable, there's this label called as end game. And inside this label, we are essentially increasing the player 0 is the player wins count. So the player O has won the game, or the player X has won the game, and then the count increases. So that is what is happening down the lines. So essentially we have coded it up for our first row. We need to do the same for our second and third row. So let's do it once. Let's do it once again. So let's say if, well, let's keep one value for reference. Well, let's keep 4 as the reference value. So let's say, well, check if the value of 4 is not equals to dash. Okay, and then let's check if 4 equals to 5, and then check if 5 equals to 6. So we simply say check if 5 equals to 6. And if that is the case, then we simply say go to end game, right? Now we have completed it for our first 2 rows. Let's do it for the final row. Now essentially this is just what I meant by repetition. So I'm just going to copy paste this code and change the necessary values. And I encourage you to do the same as well, because in the process of writing the code again and again, there might be there might be a possibility of you creating a bug on accident. So we can simply replace it here. So we're keeping 7 as the reference value, and let's check if the value of 7 equals to the value of 8. Let's check if the value of 8 equals to the value of 9, which essentially means the same thing, that they all are equal. That is our first to do done, right? We have completed the rows part. We definitely check if the player has won by any rows, right? Now we need to repeat that for columns and for diagonals. Okay, so essentially the method remains the same, but the variables names changes. Okay, so let's actually just copy paste what we have. So we have, this is our first column, so 1, 4, 7. Okay, let's keep 1 as the reference. So let's say if 1 is not equals to dash, then check if 1 equals to 4, and then check if 4 equals to 7, right? That's the first column done, right? 1, 4, 7. Let's check for the second column, which is 2, 5, 8. Let's keep 2 as the reference. Let's check if 2 is not equals to dash, and then let's check if 2 equals to 5 and 5 equals to 8. That serves as the second row. a second column, sorry, and then let's check for the final column, that is 369. Okay, so check if the value of 3 is not equals to dash, then we check if 3 equals to 6, and we check if 6 equals to 9. Okay, so those are all the columns done, right? We have completed coding for all our columns. If there's any concern, just feel free to post those in the chat, because these concepts are slightly trickier to understand, and it might require you a couple of times to understand what's going on. And let's keep moving to our diagonals. We are essentially doing the same thing, just changing the variable names. So here we have 159 and 357. So let's do that. So we're keeping 1 as the reference. So check if 1 is not equals to dash, and then we check if 1 equals to 5, and then we check if 5 equals to 9, because that is the first diagonal, right? 1, 5, 9, and the other diagonal is 3, 5, 7. So let's just check it now. Keep 3 as the reference, and then let's just check if the value of 3 equals to 5, and then 5 equals to 7, right? Well, that is all the part done. That serves all about our first to do mostly, except for the part that this remains. Okay, now there is a possibility of the match ending in a draw. Let's see, what do I mean by that. If we okay, shattered up my presentation. Yeah, in this case, you can see neither of the player has won. Okay, and this is the example of a draw. Okay, so neither of the player wins. Neither of the player has 3 similar symbols in a row, column, or a diagonal. And how do we prepare our code for this, right? How, because the X's and O's are going to be completely random in this kind of a situation. So in this case, you can see that only 9 species are filled. Okay, and this happens only when the match is a draw. So we can simply add a case for that. We definitely have declared a variable up top that says number of turns, right? So we can tap into this number of turns and check if its value equals to 9. So we can simply say, well, check if the number of turns, okay, we can simply check if the number of turns, sorry, equals to 9. Okay, so we check if the number of turns equals to 9, and if it is equals to 9, then we simply say that it is a draw. Okay, let's say something fancy. Let's say that cat's game. Okay, that's just another way of saying it's a draw. So we're gonna say echo, please try playing again. Let's be nice. And then we're gonna pause actually so that they can read what is getting printed on the screen. And then let's just say go to prompt. And what is prompt? If we scroll down, there we go, there's the prompt. So it allows the players to decide if they want to play again or not. So do you want to play again? Y/N. Okay, if they say Y, then the game repeats. If they say no, it just says goodbye and the game closes. So there's that. So we have successfully completed our first task, right? This was our first half of our project. We have successfully completed that, and we only have one half of our game remaining, right? We have completed all of our first half. Now that's a huge achievement. Let's keep moving to the second part, okay? And this is where we take the turn, or this is where we add the playing functionality to our game. But before that, let's actually see how our code is doing. And if your code opens up, that means you're doing well. If your code doesn't open up, that means you have created a bug somewhere and you need to fix that. So I'm assuming you are doing good and that your code doesn't have a bug at this point. If so, then just feel free to post your concerns and then we'll be solving those. So now we actually need to solve ourselves for the second to do. Okay, let's actually declare a new label for this. So we start fresh and let's call our label turn, so that it makes sense, because this is about taking turns. So this kind of label does make sense. Let's say that now we need to decide how the symbols are going to be, because there are 2 symbols. Okay, Now we need to set how those symbols work. Now there's a variable declared up top here, it's turn, and its value is set to 0. So we definitely need to use that here. You can simply say something like check if the value of turn. So if the value of turn equals to 0, well, in that case we can declare a new variable. I'm going to name it as something like what, turn symbol. Okay, I'm going to set turn symbol equals to x. Okay, so if the value of turn equals to 0, which it is equal to 0, then we're going to set the turn symbol as equals to x. Else we're going to set turn symbol equals to O. Okay, so there's only two symbols, it's either x or there is either O, and we're setting those accordingly. So that is another part done. That is another of the concerns out of the way. Let's keep moving to the further part. That is, we need to accept the user input at this point. Okay, so let's declare an input variable. So let's just say set/p, and let's just name it what, user input. We have user prompt, so let's just call it user input, and that equals to just simply a colon. Let's just try if our code is working. There we go. Now it simply has this colon instead of the whole lot of text that was covering up. So our bug that the player O was winning has been fixed now. Okay, so that is one major thing that we resolved by just adding more and more code. Let's add some text to go to the help screen at least, because that's the least of our concerns right now. So let's just do that. So let's simply say, well, check if the user input. So if the user input equals to help, and because we're checking for a string, so let's just put this in quotation marks. Let's just put this in quotation marks as well. So if the user input equals to help, then we're simply going to say go to help screen. Help screen is right at the bottom here. There we go. It's right at the bottom. So we're directing them to this help screen. So if they enter help, they're going to go to this help screen. Now else if, so if the user wants to exit, so else if the user input equals to exit, and again we need to put this in quotation marks. User enters exit, then we don't have an exit label, so we're going to code the exit label. So we're going to simply say CLS, and we're going to say echo some nice text that we have been using since the beginning of the workshop. Say sad to see you go, and we're going to say echo what, be back soon, and let's just time out for 6 seconds so that they can read what's going on and exit out after that. So that should be all of that. Let's actually see if our code is working fine until now, because we've added some functionality to it right now. Let's try entering help. Okay, let's try entering help, and if I hit enter right now, there we go, we are taken to the help screen. That's all good. And if I try entering exit, well, there we go, it's exiting out. So that is all good. That is working perfectly fine for us so far. Let's actually keep moving, and we only have 3 parts left, right? Fortunately enough, this is the biggest part, okay, and this is the smallest part. So we have to code the biggest part yet. So this is the processing input. So this is where we are adding the functionality. If the user enters 1, then we go X or O or whatever. So we're just declaring an arithmetic variable here. So we're going to say set/a, and naming it as simply as input. Let's not just have complex names. And this will have its data coming in from this user input label, or this user input that is right on top here. Okay, so the data for that comes from top, and that is that part done. So we have another part successfully completed. There's only 2 parts remaining, and this is the biggest part that remains, and this is the slightly smaller part. So the biggest part is where our attention should be right now, because this is where we are adding the actual functionality for our project. So let's try thinking about that. So what's the code? Let's see this. So what if I enter 1? So if I enter 1, this block should be filled. If I enter 2, this block should be filled. 3, this is for 6. 7, 8, 9, so on and so forth. Okay, so we actually need to tap into the user input. So we need to know what the user has entered first of all. So first thing, let's say we'll check if the input, okay, check if the input equals to 1. Okay, so if the user entered 1, that means they want to fill the variable 1. So we can say check if 1 is empty at that point. Okay, we don't want to replace an already filled variable. So we can simply say check if 1 equals to dash, and if that is true, then we can simply set the value of 1 equals to the turn symbol. Okay, the variable we declared right on top. Okay, now if that is not true, so if the value of 1 is not equals to dash, and we can simply say else, that means the space is already taken, right? So we can simply say echo space is already taken. And in that case, we just give them back their turn because we don't want to take away their turn because they entered something wrong. Okay, so this is what is the functionality for the user input. We have to do it 8 more times because there's 9 possible inputs. So let's just do it. So I'm just going to do it once more, then we can just copy paste it because I'm going to use the else if block right now, so it's important to understand how that works. So else if the input equals to 2, so if the input equals to 2, then we need to check for the same thing. We need to check if 2 is empty, that is 2 equals to dash. And if that is true, then we need to check if, then we need to set the variable 2 equals to turn symbol. That. Now, if that is not the case, then else we obviously know that the space is already taken. And in that case, we just give them back their turn. Okay, no questions asked. So we have done it for 1 and 2. Let's continue doing it for until 9. Okay, so let's just copy paste the code. So we check if the input equals to 3. Okay, and then we check if it is equals to 3. Then we set its value equals to 3 to turn symbol. Let's do that for 4. So check if the user input equals to 4. We want to check if 4 is empty, and then we set the value of 4 equals to turn symbol. We do that again for 5. And we check if 5 is equals to dash, and we also set the value of 5 equals to turn symbol. We do that for 6. Do that here as well. We're checking if 6 is empty. Then we're checking if 6 is equals to turn symbol. We're doing it for 7. That is, we're checking its value against if it is empty. We're setting its value to the turn symbol. We're checking it for 8. That is if 8 is equals to empty, and then we're setting its value equals to turn symbol. Let's do that for 9. Checking if 9 equals to dash, and then we're setting 9 equals to turn symbol. Now let's just specify the else condition to catch any exceptions that exist if the user enters anything that is other than 1 to 9. So we can say simply echo invalid input. We've been saying this since the start of the workshop, but yeah. So echo invalid input, and then we say echo, please try that again. Please try that again. And we're going to pause it so that we can read it, and then we're just going to give back them their turn because we don't want their turn to be taken away just because they entered something wrong. Okay, now that is all the part done. Let's see if our code is working. There you go, it's working completely. Now there's only one thing that we need to do, and that is we need to change whose turn it is, because if you see here, this turn is hard coded to 0. Okay, this number of turns is hard coded to 0, and our turn symbol changes to O only if it is not equals to 0, which is not happening in the current situation. So we need to add a situation for that wherein our turn actually changes. Okay, So let's actually see how we can do that. So if we scroll down, okay, where was I? Yeah, here was I. Okay, so we can simply say check if the value of turn equals to 0, which it is obviously. So in that case, we are setting its value to 1. Okay, really simple. Else we're just setting the value of turn equals to 0. So its value is essentially just looping between 0 and 1. And also we have our hard-coded number of turns, so we are going to add +1 to it every time a turn gets completed. So we're going to simply say number of turns equals to number of turns plus 1. And we're just repeating the entire process, so you just want to say go to loop. Okay, so loop is essentially right on top where the entire process exists. Okay, yeah, there we go, there it is. So this repeats the entire process. So let's save our progress and let's see if our code is working. This should have all the functionality that we wish to see. Let's just zoom in a bit. There we go. So if I enter something like 1, and there we go, it says it entered 1 into this position. Now it is player 0's turn. So if I enter something like 5, it's again into the 5th position. If I enter 2, there we go. Let's actually see if the player X can win. So let's enter 3. There we go. It says the player X has won the game. Would you like to play again? So we won through a row. Let's do that for a column right now. So let's go 5. In this case, let's see if the player X can win. So I guess. And if we enter a space that is already taken, in this case 3, so it already says the space is already taken because we have coded for that. And this is 7, so there we go, the player O has won the game. So this is all there is to this tic-tac-toe game. Okay, it's all about this much. It's a whole lot of code here. It's about 300 lines of code. So I hope you had fun building this project. Okay, where is it? Yeah, that was a lot of code, but essentially we have completed our final project in this way. And I hope you had fun building this project. If you have any concerns or if you wish to give any kind of suggestions, feel free to post those in the chat section. But this is all there is to the final project. Now there's always scope for more, so you could always make other things if you have command over the command line or the batch programming as in whole. You will definitely need to learn more through the internet, and there's a whole lot of things that you could make from the command line or the batch file programming as in a whole. So that's all there is. With this, we come to the end of this workshop, and just feel free to have any suggestions. Thank you everyone for attending this workshop. We have even more fun events lined up for you, and yeah, that's it.
We hope to see you all there, and please take care while filling in the details in the feedback form, as those details will be used to dispatch the certificates. The link is provided in the chat box.
With that being said, this has been us for today. This is Jai Keer.
And Gaurang Kalankar signing off.
Stay safe.
Take care and thank you.
Thank you.